Okay, so I'm going to talk today. I started out this meeting from talking about the current state of SC4D, and now we're going to try to have a conversation about the future. And I think I'm going to dive straight into it because I think Maggie gave you a really wonderful overview of what is possible within the NSF framework. And I will return to this collective impact conundrum. We have a number of funding mechanisms in front of us that we can attempt to utilize. And I will point out that the mechanisms we're discussing here are NSF mechanisms. Obviously, there are other agencies and international partners out there, and that is certainly part of the picture. But let's just focus for half a minute on the NSF piece. And there are really wonderful mechanisms. Let's not fail to appreciate how extraordinary some of these mechanisms are to fund infrastructure. I mean, the numbers we are talking about are, things that some of our colleagues in other countries, they don't have access to. But we do. And it's not given away for free. Got to work hard for it. And, it's US taxpayer money. We should work hard for it. But at various levels, the MRI, MSRI, and MREFC may be appropriate for us. And in addition to that, there are separate and distinct mechanisms to fund science that are very decoupled from the infrastructure mechanisms. These are the core programs. That's the NSF term again for programs that you as a PI can apply for to do science at your individual research program level. There are also centers, and that went by actually quite briefly in Maggie's presentation, but they're really quite important for us. There's the Geohazard Center, which is a brand new program. The first call was this past year for the earthquake centers. The next call is anticipated in 2 years for a multi-hazard center. I will point out that the original call quoted some of the SC4D language, which was interesting. I do think it is very well aligned with some of our goals, and it's something we should keep our eye on as a potential mechanism to facilitate our collaborative process and our interdisciplinary process. There's also a somewhat larger call for science and technology centers that may be appropriate as well. And we've gone around in circles about it, but there is the possibility, and has been in the past, of dedicated science programs. And then there are a third set of mechanisms to fund collaboration, the RCN, where we've been and made very good use of. The Catalyst proposal was funded separately, essentially as an unsolicited proposal, but is specifically to fund collaboration. And then there are other things foundation-wide. I think the foundation understands that scientists need to talk to each other. That's part of what we do. And they have these mechanisms to fund development and support collaborations, like the ExcelNet program. And so we're working at it. We're using all of these mechanisms, but somehow we kind of have to keep it all balanced in a way that we are actually still being able to do the science and not somehow rolling the ship over by unbalancing it. Okay, so it's with that sort of landscape in front of it, what is it that we are currently funded to do? The Catalyst proposal, which, as Diana said, the project description and project summary text is on the webpage. I hesitate to assign more reading than a 176-page report, but it's there if you're interested. There are no secrets here. But roughly, it falls into 3 chunks, which is a staff center, that technical project management and preparatory work for the geological modeling and laboratory facilities. And there is a bit of a timeline in the proposal that works through a number of workshops that are designed, that are aligned with specific parts of the design, facilities design, and also are set up in a way that they line up with these various proposal opportunities in front of us so that we're ready at the right moment. And these big, you know, as Maggie, I think, emphasized very clearly, these big proposals are big efforts. And they're, when the official RFP comes out, it's 90 days until it's due. So it's pretty clear you don't wait for the RFP to come out, because nobody's going to come up with a coherent project execution plan in 90 days. And so we're trying to get ahead of the game. And the next MSRI call, for instance, is expected out in 2 years. Geohazards call probably should come out slightly before then. We want to be ready for those calls, and we need to start getting ready now. So we're desperately trying to get out of the development phase into the design phase from an infrastructure point of view, at least. And you can see we're right on the cusp, right? Does everybody see that we're right on the edge? And so that's a set of work that's in front of us, is to make the leap into the design phase. Another proposal that is pending is the SZNet proposal. So this one is not yet funded. This went in October 11th. And a lot of people in this room were part of putting that together. That is an international collaboration proposal with 11 partner networks. So ExcelNet is to fund networks of networks. And that term is actually extremely confusing to a geoscience audience, because networks in the context of NSF means networks of people, not instruments, not seismic networks, not that stuff, but networks of people talking to other networks of human beings. Okay. That's what ExcelNet is designed to do. And so we thought this was a good vehicle to reach our aspirations of comparing subduction zones around the world. How does my subduction zone relate to your subduction zone? What do we learn from a combined portfolio of these rare and extreme events then, which we are all studying? And so that is divided up into comparing the actual observations in terms of knowledge exchange, a lot of workshops, and legacy data and data portal activities, cooperation to consistently instrument, and to figure out what the right technical solutions are. And then mission 3 is to develop and nurture an international and diverse early cadre of early career scientists. And so I don't expect to hear back on that one anytime soon. It's a process. I don't know how long your NSF proposals take to review, but I've hit the 18-month mark on occasion. So we'll wait and we'll let you know when we hear something. Okay, and so here we are. We've gotten our implementation report done. We're in the development phase, and we're trying to move to the design phase, which is really what debate phase 1 is about. And so what do we need to do? Oops, that was it, our to-do list. What do we need to do? How do we make what is in the implementation report concrete and proposalable? Is that an okay word? Proposalable? Because we're not, you can't quite take what's in the implementation report and write a proposal. Parts of it you could, but certainly not the arrays. The arrays are not yet at the dots on the map stage, which is what Maggie pretty clearly just told us it needs to be in a proposal. And I will tell you, the steering committee very seriously considered putting an MSRI in this round. And as a steering committee, voted not to do so, said we are not ready. And that was a really tough decision for the steering committee. It was in fact not unanimous. But it's where we are now. And for the reasons Maggie just said, I think you can see why the steering committee got to that decision. So how do we get to the point where the next time around we can submit such a proposal? So here's a to-do list. A lot of this work is work for the committees. So if you are on an SC4D committee, that's wonderful. You got your work cut out for you, or we have our work cut out for us, more accurately. In that the staff's, this under the center piece to this, we need to incorporate the feedback from this meeting and other public forums. We'll be doing a town hall at AGU. We'll be trying to get, pull the community in as many different ways as we can. We need to reach out. We have a newsletter. We could do certain, we need to keep the dialogue going and incorporate that feedback into what we're doing. From the technical project management side, the committees need to get some dots on the map. We need to get there. We need to surface design needs. I realize that's a slightly confusing wording there because there is a surfer, right? But that's not what I meant. What I meant is bring to light items that are in the implementation report that are technically not ready for prime time and need some actual engineering work or design work in some way. And we need to sort of get a good list of those and start doing that work. We need instrument selection. I mean, we need to get to nuts and bolts here. And I think several people have pointed it out already. That implementation report does not do a good job of articulating needs for Cascadia and Alaska. That's a problem. And so we need to work on that as a community. Ultimately, these things do live in the committees, but they need to incorporate feedback on those issues from a broader community. And define pilot projects and other proposal elements. There are pieces of this that should be started right now. I actually heard some neat pilot project ideas brewing in the poster session last night. Go do them. There's, let's get the show on the road. Jen Wade made it clear in her intro comments that they are open to proposals for pilot projects at any time through the core programs. So let's go. Under 3 for the committee's work is to clarify needs and discuss with funding agency and that's this whole workshop plan that is on the right-hand side of this figure of this slide. For the broader community, if you're not currently on a committee, well, you certainly could volunteer this spring and then you will be on a committee. But if you are in the broader community, everyone, please read the report, please. There are hard copies floating around. Take one home with you. Read the PDF online. It's important. It's important that we just put this big effort into writing this plan. It's important that we stick to it and use it and then build from it and not unravel it and try to start over. Because if we're ever going to move out of the development phase into the design phase, we need some firm ground to stand on, and the firm ground is this report. And then we need to start doing the science. And that comes in many forms. Educate yourselves. I've heard brewing around some webinar ideas of, we need some cross education across subduction zones. We should do that. Start readings, find a colleague. SC4D is there to help you. Use our mailing list. Say, hey, I'm looking for a geologist to work with. You can send that out on the SC4D mailing list. I'm running a workshop. I heard lots of collaboration starting out at this poster session last night. Go for it. and start answering the question, start mining the legacy data. That is what phase 1 says in the report, is there's a lot of data out there already. Let's use it. Let's familiarize ourselves with it and let's do science with it, build some models and get going. And that is what I have to say. And I think I've left some time, which we have not done previously at this meeting, for you guys to actually ask me some questions. Okay.